Hi, everybody. It's me, Dan Stewart. With me, as always, is Brian Rail. Say hi, Brian.
Hello.
Hi, hi, hi. So happy Monday afternoon. It's time for episode number 7. Can you believe it, Brian? 7 episodes already? Nuts.
It seems like only last month we started this.
It's craziness. So episode 7 today of What to Say Now, where once a week we get together and we tackle those difficult conversation topics, right? The idea is that you should be watching these episodes every single week if you're interested in having conversations that lead to more opportunity for you in your business, your personal life, and of course, any professional endeavor that you may have. So, Brian, we've got some good stuff today. I'm getting kind of excited about this. Are you ready?
Lots of conversation.
Yeah, we do have lots of conversation.
Love it.
So, you know what I was doing? I went over the logs of people who are paying attention to this. And so many of the people watching these videos are my friends in the real estate space, which is amazing. So thank you to all of you who are watching and participating. And we're also seeing that a lot of people are very interested in building a level of prosperity for themselves in their life, right? So if you're here today, it's probably because you think, hey, these guys might have something to offer me that I can use in conversation to generate more business. Does that seem reasonable, Brian?
Absolutely.
Okay, it does. I knew he'd say yes to that. So here's the thing that we need to talk about, guys. If we're going to be truly prosperous, we need to put our eggs in multiple baskets, right? We need to have our oars in multiple ponds. We need to diversify our income streams in order to be able to do that. And every time this topic comes up, I think of a mentor that I had very early in my business career. And I can hear his voice now. He says, Dan, if you stand close to a waterfall, you're gonna get wet. So pick the waterfall you want to stand next to, right? I thought that was so interesting because, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had businesses in many different verticals. And I always think, where can I serve the most people and make the most impact? And his perspective was, where are the most dollars falling over the edge of that cliff? Where's the fattest, widest, deepest stream of income potential possible? That's where he would encourage me to focus. So, naturally, I think about all my friends in real estate. As like our friend Gary Keller wrote a book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, right? You've probably read that, Brian.
Yep.
Yeah. And, he lays out a plan in the book where a normal human being, like without any special skills or talents other than desire and willingness to work hard, can seriously build a tremendous income for themselves. I personally know agents who have massive amounts of income. Several in that, that 1 million 7-figure GCI range, which is just tremendous. And yet not every agent gets there. So I thought, well, what's the difference here? And the difference that I'm coming up with that I want to share with you today has to do with differentiation and specialization versus broad market appeal. Okay, so let's break this down. We'll talk about broad market appeal first. Think of Walmart. Think of Amazon.com. Like we just went to Walmart literally yesterday, right? And from one store, we could bring home a tire. We could bring home dinner, right? We could bring home a bicycle. I mean, we could buy plants for the garden. Like anything and everything we could think of is there in one place. Very similar with Amazon.com. And yet, like I look behind me and I see this guitar on the floor there? That's a Taylor, right? It's a serious guitar. Like it's not the most expensive. It's not the finest guitar made, but the quality of that instrument is far above anything you could buy at like a Walmart, for example, okay? So you have to decide, and I have to decide, with the time we get to do what we do, are we going to try to focus all of our energies and talents on one tiny thing, or are we going to broaden it and try to serve a larger pool of people? So what are your thoughts about that, Brian? In your career as an agent, did you feel the need to specialize and focus, or to try to appeal to a larger audience?
I did. At the beginning, it was trying to get my feet wet, figuring out what everything was. I always knew that I liked the technology aspect, and so I kind of specialized in the technology part of it. But then I realized fairly quickly that I didn't really care for working with buyers and driving them around and seeing 15 different houses and then not selling them anything in the end.
Right.
And so for me, I ended up focusing on listings.
Okay.
And I was still really good at technology. So I continued all of my lead generation aspects, and anything that was a listing, I would deal with the listing, and then I would also help them buy. But anyone else that was just looking to buy, I would refer those out. So
Great.
then I had that stream of income in addition to my commission income that I'm making.
This is perfect, Brian. Thank you. I'm going to stop you there because the segue is perfect. So last week I posted on Facebook a question. I said, real estate friends, how would you feel about getting paid on the mortgage side too?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay. Because, I'm really curious about this because, hey, if you're a full-time real estate professional, that's a lot, right? That is no small feat. And if you're a full-time mortgage professional, that's a lot. That is also no small feat.
Yeah.
So how is it that one person could do both? And the answers that came in, all the different comments that came in from that was really astounding. We had some people insisting it was absolutely illegal. It couldn't even be done. We had other people saying, oh no, it's legal if you do such and such and so, right? So essentially there were two different roads that were paved. One was a dead end. Absolutely not. I couldn't ever do it. Then there was kind of a middle ground, which said, yeah, I'd be comfortable doing that. However, my fiduciary responsibility is to my client to get the best possible deal. It's not for me to earn more money on the mortgage, right?
Right.
And so other people were saying things like, hey, if it's fully disclosed, why not? Game on, And this to me is that concept from early in my career about standing next to the waterfall, right? Because you're already closing transactions. That's happening. And oftentimes the difference between building significant wealth for yourself and just continuing to stay at the status quo, it's not a huge change. It's a small change, right? So if you were to earn that extra commission income by referring it to a loan officer, and then you took that additional income and you set it aside for investment purposes, that could truly accrue to be something that's life-changing.
Absolutely.
So, that's the spirit that I bring it up within. And, even now as we're chatting about this, I want to just give some shout outs to Melissa and Maya. I see you guys there. Always love feedback from the audience about different topics that we're talking about. So Brian, as a real estate professional, do you personally feel there's any legal objection to being able to do this in the state you're licensed in?
So I'm in Texas, and in Texas, it is legal to do so as long as you have a license, a loan officer license. If you do not have a loan officer license, then you cannot get a commission because of RESPA concerns.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up.
So there is that issue, and then there's the question about fiduciary duty. You have to make sure that you're actually fulfilling your obligation to your client, but it also depends on what that client's desires are, because it's like someone who is willing to sell for cash quickly at a lower price versus someone who's willing to wait, get a higher price. What is it that they need? And loan products are often very similar. Some may have more closing costs, but a lower interest rate. Some may have a higher interest rate, but lower closing costs. What is important to that client at that time? And then, there's some I won't say the names, but there's some banks that will never perform. So there's that to take into
don't name those people
too.
No, let's protect them so they can still, take take everybody's time and not perform. That's great. Sarcasm, insert the sarcasm font there, right? Yeah. So there's two things you brought up that I want to call attention to. First, RESPA violations. Like the days of the Wild West are over, right? There used to be a time when title guys and mortgage guys, male or female, they could take you out and show you a great time, and that was all great. They could buy your referrals, and rightfully, that has been stopped and shut down. That makes
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, in my family, my father-in-law, who passed away a year ago, he was a licensed real estate agent and a licensed loan officer in Florida for decades, right? And he didn't do every loan for every transaction that he had. Sometimes he referred them out. Sometimes he processed it himself. It varied. He just saw it as another tool that might be useful for him on occasion, right? And so recently I was talking with a guy named Andre Lujan. He's at a company called Shore Capital, and they're doing something really interesting. So, part of the reason I'm bringing this topic up is because I love the input of our community. And what Andre's worked on is a way to help agents get a license, an NMLS number, in their local market, so that they can then refer the business back to Andre's company. So, in this case, the real estate agent is acting as the referring loan officer, but the back end, right, the back office staff at the lender are the people who are administrating all the processing and loan approvals and all these other things that have to happen.
Right.
As they move towards close. So I think that's just a really potentially smart way for some agents. And yet I'm not an agent, right? I'm an entrepreneur. So I want the input of our community. And that's why I posted about it on Facebook. So any of you who are watching now that want to comment, I'd love to hear your feedback on that topic. And, I'll invite Andre to join us here live at some point. We'll have that discussion with him as well. So a couple of shout outs here. I want to say hi to Brooke Wolford, my buddy in Minnesota. I believe, if I remember correctly, you just celebrated a birthday, Brooke. So happy birthday to you. And I also want to say hi to Greg there. Thank you for liking this and sharing that. Definitely appreciate it. Maya, I see all sorts of stuff you're posting here. That's awesome. Thank you for doing that. And so, just kind of segueing through these issues here, right? We've got the need to generate more than one source of income that can protect us from instability in our markets. We've got some choices about how we can do that, right? I mean, you look at a company like EXP, for example. They've built their whole recruitment model around the concept that it's nice for agents to have multiple sources of income that can be derived from their career in real estate, okay? So conceptually, what am I missing? How is this totally different than that, right? Then we've got the question of specialization versus broad market appeal, right? So you've got to decide which of those you're going to focus on. And of course, we're going to invite Andre to join us here for a future segment so we can answer those questions live. So Brian, do you have anything else you'd like to bring to the topic today? Any angles we haven't considered?
Well, I think a lot of agents have a source of multiple streams of income, and they just may not necessarily realize it. Like, there's several agents out there who also do staging for their clients. And while they may not be getting paid directly for the staging, it's a service that they provide in order to provide better client care. Other agents go the team route and start having teams and expansion teams and all of that kind of stuff, and they generate revenue from that route. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can have additional revenue streams. And, as long as everything is legal, up and up, and everyone is well informed of what's going on, if it's legal in your market, I don't necessarily see a problem with doing that, as long as you're keeping your fiduciary duty to your client first and foremost.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your thoughts on that, Brian. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And, to our audience, thank you very much for attending. Remember, like, share, subscribe to this. Join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/what to say now, and invite anyone you think that should be there. We're posting recordings of our previous episodes there in the group. And of course, throughout the week, 24/7, you may post a question that you would like our brain trust, our copywriters and myself included, to comment about how to help you communicate anything that you can think of. So we've covered personal topics, business topics, you name it, and we'll comment for you in that section. So thank you, Brian, for joining me today. I definitely appreciate that. And I'll see everyone next week. We'll be live right at 2 p.m. Eastern time at facebook.com/group/what to say now. Have a great week, everybody.